Hi Vogue, I'm Margot Robbie, and today we're going to be making some cocktails inspired by some of my favorite films. I actually used to work behind a bar back in Australia, so this should be fun. A Bloody Mary from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a film that I am in, and I've chosen this because, little known fact, I do a cameo in the film as well as play Sharon Tate. Quentin heard that I used to be on a TV show called Pan Am, and so he was like, so you have to play the Pan Am stewardess. No one will know it's you, but we will know it's you. And I was like, of course, that's great. Yeah, so those hands stirring the thing and going, there you are, sir, that's me. Okay, so to make it, we're gonna need a blender. Ugh. It's pretty much a salad in a glass. We're just gonna chuck all the ingredients in, blend it on low, add the vodka, that's it. Tomato juice, lemon juice, celery bitters, hot sauce, it's like I'm on a cooking show, Worcestershire sauce, salt, pepper, and horseradish. I'm free pouring the vodka, by the way, but you can do 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces. There we go. And you should always have a comically large celery stick, preferably with leaves on it. There we go. Sharon Tate in the film had so many great costumes. A lot of them were replicated from looks that she actually wore. I remember in our very first fitting, like out of a room full of clothes, I immediately pointed out the little yellow like top and shorts that I wear at the Playboy Mansion. That was like the first thing I saw, and I was like, that, can I please wear that? Ari, our costume designer, was like, that's so funny that out of everything, that's what you pointed out. That's an Aussie Clark outfit, like an actual Aussie Clark outfit from back in the day. And Sharon Tate wore a lot of Aussie Clark. Quentin, when you read his script, spells coffee Coffy. It came up enough times in the script that I was like, I have to ask, because you have to go to his house to read it. He only has one copy and everyone goes to his house and reads it. It's like, why have you spelt it coffee? And he was just so matter of fact. He's like, because that's how it should be spelt. And I was like, yeah, I guess. Why isn't it a Y? I feel like drinks are always so epic in Quentin Tarantino films. Like the $5 milkshake in Pulp Fiction, like nothing makes you want to have a milkshake more than this whole scene about a $5 milkshake. Or like, like Bloody Mary, obviously, in Once Upon a Time, or in like Django Unchained when Christoph Waltz is pouring the beer and then he films it in such a way that you're like, my God, I want that. Most people would not take the time to film the making of a drink, really. But yeah, I love that Quentin does that. All right, next, The Corpse Survivor #2. The Philadelphia Story, which is one of my absolute favorite films, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. When they're hungover, they have what they call an eye opener. It's like a cocktail to like hair of the dog sort of cocktail. I'd like to think that it's a Corpse Survivor #2. You got a bit sweet from the maraschino cherry, you got the sour from the lemon juice, and I don't know, I feel like it could kind of kickstart you a little bit. We're gonna make it in a Nick and Nora glass. And it matches the color of the bottle of Papa Salt, which is my gin with my friends. It's pretty much equal parts, but more gin, so not totally equal. Go full on the gin. I'm a gin girl. I love it. 3/4 of the Lillet Blanc, 3/4 Cointreau, and then 3/4 lemon juice. Actually, hair of the dog doesn't really work for me, I'm not gonna lie. When I'm hungover, the last thing I wanna do is drink more alcohol. In our cocktail shaker, fill it with ice, pour that in. Movies from like the 30s, that golden era of Hollywood, they're so fun to watch. I think it sounds like it's gonna be boring and you're like, oh, a movie from the 30s. It sounds like a punish, but I don't know, a lot of the screwball comedies from that era are just really delightful. Like The Philadelphia Story is like, it's just charming and everyone's so witty and gorgeous. And the best thing about films from that time, you had a costume designer and then you had a gown designer. So your lead actress always comes out in these like crazy gowns, and a different person to the person that designed everything else for the movie did the gowns. And I just feel like it's so, I don't know, it's so extra. I love it. It's so decadent. It's just a different time. Okay, so in our Nick and Nora, we're gonna do a little spritz of absinthe and then a little maraschino cherry. And then got our liquid here. Strain that in. Ooh, that was close. I'm actually gonna put Another cherry in there. And a little bit of the syrup. Wow, yum. In the Philadelphia story, you've got 3 iconic actors, Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, and Jimmy Stewart, all in the same film. And it's what I like to call head-to-toe acting because, you know, technology was different, camera rigs were different, cameras were different. So when you watch like a film from like the 30s, it's like always a wide shot. It's always, you see head to toe. So you see the outfits, you see the room, you see everything, and they act with their whole bodies. And a close-up was like a really special thing. So you'll watch one of those films and it's all head to toe acting and people coming in and out of rooms. And then it's like, boom, they come in for the close-up and it's often someone like Katharine Hepburn, like at like an amazing angle like this. And like the light is just, it's great. And they say that one amazing line, like, I'm sorry, darling. And then it's like cuts to the next scene and it's just great. And it's just great. Next, we're making a dark and stormy in honor of Wuthering Heights. We don't actually drink a dark and stormy in Wuthering Heights, but the name kind of evokes the mood of the book and the film. I also really like a dark and stormy. So here goes. I'm gonna put everything in here. We've got a Jamaican rum. Spiced rum is always great in a dark and stormy. Blackstrap rum. Gonna do a dash of Angosteen bitters, a little lime juice. And this is actually a ginger syrup infused with Earl Grey in honor of, you know, England being the setting of our film. This is a different technique. Rather than filling this with ice, got 1 ice cube in here. You don't really like shake it a lot. You just give it a little bit. Our Wuthering Heights has a lot of the famous lines from the book, like, I have not broken your heart, you have broken it, and breaking it, you've broken mine, which is just great. And then there's like lines that we made up kind of on the day. Like at one point, Jacob puts me in a tree and I scream at him from afar. I'm like, you will be so very sorry when I fall out of this tree and die. Emerald came up with like an entire scene like 10 minutes before we shot it one day because we were waiting on weather. By the way, I'm putting soda in here now. So she can like do that. I improv sometimes, but honestly, with an Emerald Fennell script, you don't really need to improv because she's a genius writer. And also you've got what Emily Bronte wrote in the original book. So this is our fancy dark and stormy, which I'm gonna use candied ginger as the garnish. Yeah, that's great. So Jacqueline Duran, amazing costume designer. She also designed the costumes for Barbie. So we've worked together before. She also did the costumes for Wuthering Heights. Kathy, my character, pretty much for the entire movie, she only wears black, white, and red. And that was like a vision Emerald had from the very beginning. But the costumes are so mega, like they're to die for. If you care about that stuff at all, you're gonna love this movie. The White Russian from The Big Lebowski. Kind of an iconic drink. The dude, also a very iconic character, drinks them pretty much throughout the whole film. And I love a White Russian. There's a lot of big characters and a lot of interweaving storylines. Mary Zoffres was the costume designer on The Big Lebowski, and she was the costume designer on Babylon. So I got to ask all these questions, like, how did you come up with these outfits that are now, you know, like people dressed like the dude for Halloween, or, you know, John Turturro's character. And there's just so many great costumes. She was like, do you know, at the end of the shoot, we didn't have anywhere to store the costumes, just gave them away to thrift stores in LA. So at that time, you could have just gone into a thrift store and have the actual costumes from The Big Lebowski. I'd love to find that online one day. So we've got our glass, a beautiful piece of ice in there. Vodka, main ingredient, 1.5 ounces going in there. Got coffee liqueur. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a free pourer, and my drinks end up being quite strong. Usually people don't complain. Creme de cacao. Then we're gonna stir that. When I go to the movies, I like to have a frozen Coke and popcorn. And in Australia, we have a whole different range of movie snacks. We have something called Choc Tops, which is like an ice cream that's pre-packaged and has like chocolate made hard on top. And it's, yeah, very nostalgic for me. So if I'm at home, a Choc Top as well. Next step, heavy whipping cream, tiny bit of Frangelico, little pinch of salt for the B camera. Oh my God, I think I did too much shaking and now the cream has turned, you know, I'm just gonna scoop it out. Oh, that looks cute, that looks Christmassy. To make it even more Christmassy, Gonna shave a little bit of nutmeg on top. Looks like I've stirred it so it's all mixed in. Oh, it's genuinely so good. Yum. The salt's a really good touch. Highly recommend. A Singapore Sling in honor of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I just kind of love when a movie encapsulates how the book feels. And I feel like this movie really does that. Like the book is so trippy and kind of warped. And then the movie just like with its stylistic language does that so amazingly. Anyways, in the movie, they drink these cocktails, the Singapore Slings, at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I love a gin cocktail, as I've mentioned, and this is kind of like a tropical gin cocktail. All right, so dash of Angosteen bitters. Gonna do an ounce of whatever gin you like. Gonna do half an ounce of ratafia, and then Amaro Nonino. You gotta have a fun glass when you're making a Singapore Sling. Something that makes you feel like you're on an island somewhere. Pineapple juice, lime juice, and simple syrup. Okay, and I'm gonna pour it all in here. So we're adding the soda at the bottom. That stops your cocktail from going flat. Add your cocktail on top. I mean, how fun does that look? That looks like a good time. Hunter S. Thompson would approve. And then you should just add a bunch of garnishes. Just add whatever you got. Make it fun. Go crazy. Oh, that is so good. I wish I made a round for you all. It's so good. That's easy drinking. So we're gonna do a dry martini in honor of one of my favorite films, The Thin Man. The Thin Man's about like a husband and wife duo. He's a retired detective and they both essentially just get drunk the whole movie and solve crimes. And it's great. And there's a series of them. It's hilarious. And nothing's going to make you want to drink a martini more than this movie. William Powell is Nick. Myrna Loy is Nora. Nick and Nora. They've actually made Nick and Nora glasses in honor of them. And that's what we're going to put our martini in. Anyways, he makes a dry martini. Normally I drink a dirty martini, but that's what we're going to do, a dry martini for the film. And he shakes it. And he's got a whole theory about shaking it. And he's got this great like dialogue about like a Manhattan should be shaken to like the foxtrot or something like that. And he's like, a dry martini has to be shaken to the waltz step. And that's just fantastic. First, like I said, I drink gin, but you can make a martini with vodka or gin, 5-to-1 ratio. So we're gonna do this side and we're gonna do this side. Up to you how much vermouth you like. I normally just do a little cap. In the Nick and Nora dry martini, I'm gonna put a little bit of orange bitters. I saw it on the internet and I thought that's a cool thing to try. And then a secret ingredient, saline solution. So it's just salt and water. You put a couple of drops of saline in any of your cocktails and they'll taste better. Like the way you'd salt meat and like, you know, if you're gonna cook a steak and you salt the steak and then like the steak tastes better, it's kind of like that, but for cocktails. So a couple of drops. I'm gonna fill this with ice. And I'd say if you're new to martini drinking, this is like a great way in because the more you shake it, the more cold it is, the more diluted it gets because like the ice melts into it a little bit and gets icy. So if you're like, oh, I don't really love martinis, but I want to drink martinis, have it shaken to begin. I shake it until my hand gets so cold I can't hold it anymore, which I'd say is about now. This is with a twist. If you have it dirty, you would have it with olives. You don't have to put that in, but it looks nice, so I'm going to. Cheers. Wow, that's good. Yeah, I like that. Anyone want a martini? Well, thanks for watching and go make a cocktail and watch a film for me.